Your Steve Jones Show podcast is loading now. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Sunbury Motors, North 4th Street in Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf.
Great to have my old friend, who doesn't look old, and that is Mike DeCourcy. Sporting News, BTN. Mike, welcome. Always a pleasure.
Hey, Steve. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well. Just waiting for it to snow here in Des Moines. I promised you when I saw you in Chicago, you already know what the first question is. You did see all of the Academy Award nominated movies. Did they make the right choices?
I think they did. I thought that the choice of Everything Everywhere was an ideal choice. I for a long time tried to talk my wife into seeing that movie, and she just resisted it. So finally, she was at a conference or something, and I finally got some time, so sat down and watched it, and I thought it was just so inventive and original. It's not really something that, the whole multiverse concept is usually, superhero stuff, not really for me. I'm not a superhero person,
right.
But I thought that they just absolutely nailed that movie in every way, and it needed the right ending to make sure that it was worth the journey, and it was a perfect ending. I thought all the actors, Michelle Yeoh and Jamie Lee Curtis, Kihei Kwan, they were all fantastic. I was delighted to see them all win. I would say that they don't often get it absolutely right, but this time they did.
Now the basketball part. It's already been a day where Furman rallied late. Virginia made mistakes late, and Furman won by 1. That's the big one. And, of course, the other one was Maryland winning. At this time of the year, what's important when people are looking at seeds in terms of the ability of somebody to, quote, pull an upset that may not really be an upset?
Well, I think the first thing is that one of the things that would be inviting about a Furman or a College of Charleston is you're playing a team that plays a fairly low pace. So the fact that they have superior athletes, superior players, talent to you is not as big a factor. If you're playing at a higher pace, every possession increases that talent differential that much more. And that's where Virginia gets into trouble in the NCAA tournament, because they're playing close games against teams that are less talented than them. So they get that less talented team, one mistake, and all of a sudden everything changes. And Virginia had made some really good plays down the stretch, but then Kihei Clark missed a free throw that was key. And then the big thing, they have the ball inbounded to the corner to their smallest player, their most experienced, but their smallest. And at that point, the obvious answer is, I'm in trouble, I call timeout. And he chose not to do that. Okay, second choice, I'm in trouble. Let's at least try to bounce it off this guy's leg. Nope, didn't do that.
Right.
He just heaved it up in the air. And that is just bad basketball. I don't know how you make that mistake when you've played as much as he has. This is his 5th year. He won a championship ring in his first. And his, like I said, his options weren't bad. If he had called the timeout, no problem at all. They just start over again. They get a new clock. Everything's fine. A new 10-second count, I mean.
Right,
and instead, he just I don't think I've ever seen anybody do what he did in a game where there was that, let alone there was that much on the line. In a regular season game, I don't think I've ever seen anybody just throw the ball up and say, let's see if anybody catches it.
And the fourth option would have been actually another option that would be good enough. Just drop the ball out of bounds and we can set our defense. I mean, there's a lot of things that you could have done there, right? And he made the single worst choice of all. You watched Penn State play in the Big Ten tournament in Chicago. After seeing Penn State in person over a period of time, what did you think of the Nittany Lions in person?
Oh, I love the way they play. It's obviously dependent on at least 2 of the shooters to win at this level where you're playing.
No question.
It was true also in a lot of the regular season games against the Big Ten, because you're playing teams at this level. But to win at this level, you have to have at least 2 of your guys making shots that day. And we saw days when when Andrew Funk couldn't miss, and we saw a few along the way where it just didn't drop. So I'm not saying he in particular has to have a big day. It doesn't hurt because when he's on, I mean, he's really hard to stop. And obviously, Jalen has to have a terrific day. Doesn't have to score, but he has to play well. He has to be fresh enough to play well. And what I worried about when I saw this matchup was the idea that if you watch games in the first round of NCAA tournaments, a lot of times they let a lot go. They want the game to go quickly because you have 4 games to get in one day in one building. And so they let a lot go. And Texas A&M is a team that will do a lot. I mean, I'm not saying dirty, but I'm saying they don't mind fouling you. And they'll foul you enough that maybe the refs can't call them all.
No, it's the equivalent. Texas A&M, first of all, very, very good downhill basketball, especially Taylor's a terrific guard. All right. Yes. But and they'll get offensive rebounds. You've got to prevent that. But at the other end of the floor, they are the equivalent of Michigan football because they'll do a lot of clutch and grab at corner. You can't call all the pass interferences. And that's the Texas A&M. That's the Texas A&M philosophy.
Yeah, I've seen games where they did get called. And those games are like 4 hours long. I mean, they'll go forever. If they don't care, they're going to play the way they want to play and dare you to deal with it. You might remember back in the late 90s, the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, after Patrick Ewing, his career was finished, John Thompson started having his guys foul on the perimeter consistently. A lot of slaps and grabs and stuff. That, again, the idea that you couldn't call them all. And this is not that. This is much more physical on the interior along the baseline that they like to do. So we'll see what happens when Jalen backs his guy down. How does Texas A&M deal with that threat? Because it is one of the most threatening things in college basketball when Jalen Pickett gets your point guard down to about 6 feet. It is not easy to defend.
Yeah, what I expect them to do. I've watched so much Texas A&M tape over 3 days. I've had enough. What they won't double Jalen until he gets to about 8 to 12 feet from the bucket. Then they'll bring a second guy. This is where the hockey assist comes in to get an open shot someplace on the perimeter. That's going to be one of the keys. So
yeah, when I did a tape for our pregame show on, it might have been on the final day's game. Showing how good Penn State can be at that hockey assist, that extra pass. They're among the best in the country. It was off the Northwestern game. That's what it was. It was when they won the Northwestern game with that play, with that multiple occasions making that extra pass. And on some occasions it was Andrew being the recipient, and on some occasions it was Andrew being the initiator of that hockey play. And that's the thing that against this team, they haven't seen anybody who does what Penn State does in this way, bringing it out of the mid-post and out to the perimeter and then swinging it across. There's no player in the SEC. There are really no players in the country quite like Jalen and what he's able to do with that.
Well, he's a U.S. Basketball Writers Hall of Famer. Mike DeCourcy is just one of the best in the business. Mike, thanks so much. Appreciate your time. I know it's always valuable.
Oh, Steve, good luck tonight. Enjoy the game. Have a great call, and enjoy the game. I hope everybody in State College has a nice time watching it.